Thank you for joining us tonight. You are now with me, Cheryl Chaminato, for TVS Nightline. As always, on to the headlines. We begin with the update as the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee has declared an enhanced movement control order, or EMCO, in the flats and homes of Town Villa Sibu Jaya in Sibu. According to SDMC Chairman Dato' Amar Douglas Uga Ambas, the MCO will be enacted from February 12 until February 25.
Keputusan ini dibuat kerana Sibu Jaya sendiri telah mencatatkan 270 kes positif COVID-19. Dari jumlah tersebut, 129 kes adalah didapati di kawasan rumah pangsa dan perumahan Town Villa. Jumlah penduduk di kedua-dua tempat ini adalah 6,000 orang.
Meanwhile, Sarawak recorded new positive COVID-19 cases, bringing the cumulative total number of positive cases in Sarawak to 6,006. Sibu remains the division with the highest number of recorded cases, with 83. Bintulu with 19, Miri 9, Dalat 6, Julau 5, Kuching 3, Betong 3, Lundu 2, Kapit 2, Beluru 1, Sirian 1, and Kanawit 1. Fortunately, there were no new deaths reported on Wednesday, maintaining the total death toll in the state at 55 cases.
Meanwhile, residents in a few areas affected by the movement control order in the central region of Sarawak have been handed over food supplies worth 6.52 million ringgit by the Sarawak government. Deputy Chief Minister Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan said the food will be distributed starting this week to 88,857 residents in Sibu Division, which encompasses Sibu, Selangau and Kanawit, as well as 16,000 households in Kapit and Song districts.
The state government has approved a total of RM 6.52 million allocation to purchase and deliver food assistance for the affected household in both divisions. As of today, the Sibu Divisional Disaster Management Committee reported that 48,764 households out of 72,857 households have been distributed with food assistance. All 1,270 affected longhouses, it's about 22,612 households, have been given food assistance.
He, who is also Food Supply Chain Subcommittee Chairman, said in order to ensure a smooth food distribution process, deliveries will be made in collaboration with various relevant agencies such as the Disaster Management Committee, Local Council, Village Development and Security Committee, and non-governmental organizations. Awang Tengah said this in a Food Supply Chain Subcommittee media conference in Kuching on Wednesday. With regards to this, he said he had also received guarantees from the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN-HEP, that food stocks at the time are adequate.
Jadi kita telah pun minta kepada KPDN-HEP untuk memastikan bahawa bekalan makanan in every point of sale within that area akan mencukupi bahan makanan. Secara keseluruhannya, bekalan makanan tidak menjadi masalah, mencukupi.
Meanwhile, Miri Division Disaster Management Committee confirmed that 6 longhouses, 5 in Beluru District and 1 in Subis District, are still under the movement restriction order. Meanwhile, the movement restriction on 7 longhouses has been ceased on Tuesday.
According to Minister of Transport Dato' Lee Kim Shin, who is also the Minister in charge of JBBB Miri, the latest details and information on 13 longhouses involved have been reported to the State Disaster Management Committee. He urged the public to always adhere to SDMC standard operating procedures in regards to the burial ceremony guidelines during movement control order as stipulated by the Unit for Other Religions Unit 4. This is following the detections of a new cluster in Miri, the Ceres cluster in Beluru, which is now entering the second generation. With regards to this, Lee added that Longhouses district has returned to being a green zone, bringing the number of green zone districts in Miri division to 2, namely Marudi and Longhouses.
There will be no exceptions for ministers to undergo quarantine when entering Sarawak after returning from official visits overseas. Sarawak Minister of Local Government and Housing, Dr. Sibu said it is still compulsory for them to undergo the mandatory 14-day quarantine at a hotel or quarantine centre.
He explained that they will be treated the same as the common citizen, whereby they must undergo swab tests if they are found to have returned from overseas.
Our Sarawak policy has very clear, applicable to everybody. 14 days in hotel, bayar sendiri, boleh juga. I mean, if you're Sarawakian, then we pay for you lah. If you're not Sarawakian, then if married to either one or then married to Sarawak, we pay for you. But if you're not Sarawakian, you pay your own. This Sarawak policy, they have to respect Sarawak government rules. Our autonomy.
He added the State Disaster Management Committee will solicit the advice of medical experts before deciding to make changes to the quarantine policy. He said this when commenting on recent media reports that cabinet ministers returning from official trips abroad are now exempted from the 10-day observation or home surveillance period. This was stated in the latest federal government gazette under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Disease Exemption Order 2021, enacted from February 9th until August 1st. However, the ruling has resulted in public backlash, with some calling its implementation as double standards.
Meanwhile, Dr. Sim also said the Sarawak government will work together with the Malaysian Ministry of Health to ensure that everyone in the state will receive the COVID-19 vaccine come August. According to him, the effort is to ensure that COVID-19 cases in the state are reduced and that more lives can be saved.
To speed up our program, we want to speed up our program, so instead of wait until February, we will work with them and find ways in which how we want to everything finished by August. Because for us, in the earlier that everybody 70% get vaccinated, I'm very sure our COVID cases, the number of COVID cases will come down.
He added the state government is prepared to bear the costs of vaccine acquisition in the event the federal government is not able to supply it during that period. However, he could not conclusively determine the amount of vaccines to be supplied to the Sarawak government. However, he hopes the Sarawak government itself can be allowed to purchase the vaccines, even though only the federal government, through the Ministry of Health, is allowed to purchase the vaccine.
Meanwhile, the Sarawak Museum Department is still investigating the discovery of an artifact at the Kuching Central Police Station and Brook Dockyard. According to the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Dato' Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, the parties in charge are conducting further investigation on the discovery. According to him, the matter will take a period of time to be conclusively identified. This will indirectly spark the interest of public to find out more about the discovered artifacts. He also added that the artifact discovered was recognized as a cultural heritage, which includes it being preserved as an exhibition collection in Sarawak Museum.
Perkara-perkara seperti ini menyemarakkan lagi minat bahawa satu-satu tempat itu ada mempunyai sejarah-sejarahnya. Nobody can feels that way when they pass by the Central Police Station ataupun when they pass by Brook Dockyard. Apabila benda-benda tersebut ditemui, jadi kita akan mengetahui bahawa satu ketika dahulu, lebih 100 tahun dahulu, tempat ini mesti ada some kind of activity which led to benda-benda itu tertanam dalam tempat itu.
Meanwhile, in the same ceremony, the first Sarawak Museum application has been launched as a digital initiative to communicate with the public on the cultural heritage collection which exists in the museum. According to Abdul Karim, the digital initiative is in line with the recent trend involving many digital applications. As an example, online transactions using the application include online shopping. Commenting further, he said the application will garner historical interest to view the collection of exhibitions in the Sarawak Museum.
Melalui apps ini, siapa-siapa yang mahu melayari ataupun melihat apa yang dilakukan oleh Sarawak Museum, aktiviti-aktivitinya dan juga barang-barang yang dipamerkan dalam museum boleh masuk dan dari situ mereka akan dapat mempelajari sedikit sebanyak sejarah, heritage, dan saya percaya apps seperti ini amatlah baik untuk rakyat Sarawak, untuk kita mengenali sejarah kita dan juga apa yang ada dipamerkan dalam sejarah Sarawak dan juga museum.
Back to the Nightline with the COVID-19 development, as Malaysia reported 3,288 COVID-19 cases and 14 deaths in the past 24 hours. The new cases today involve 3,283 local infections and 5 imported cases. The local cases comprise 1,889 Malaysians and 1,394 foreigners. The total number of infections now stands at 251,604. Of that total, there are 52,186 active cases, with 285 patients being treated in intensive care and 131 requiring respiratory assistance. Meanwhile, the 14 deaths have brought the death toll to 923. At the same time, there were 1,929 recoveries, bringing the total number of those discharged to 198,495. Meanwhile, the National Employment Council has estimated that more than 160,000 new jobs will be created this year through committed investments. Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz hoped that through the joint efforts of all parties involved, the unemployment rate can be reduced.
Harapkan dengan usaha bersama semua pihak yang terlibat, kadar pengangguran 4.8% yang dicatatkan pada hujung Disember dapat kita kurangkan di dalam bulan-bulan yang mendatang. Terutamanya dengan adanya usaha-usaha berterusan kerajaan ke arah ini, seperti portal My Future Jobs dan platform e-latih Kementerian Sumber Manusia.
Tengku Zafrul added the matters have been informed in the second meeting of the National Employment Council held virtually on Tuesday, chaired by the Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's office in a statement said the portal acts as a center for information and achievement of initiatives that offers over 200,000 job opportunities for job seekers. It includes skills improvement and retraining programs, advice services, and also current employment programs. In addition, the statement said that the government always welcomes the offer from Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers and SME Association of Malaysia to work together to overcome the unemployment rate through the initiative under Budget 2021, especially skills enhancements and digitalization.
As of January 29th, the government has approved 6,507 applications involving 1.23 billion ringgit under the National Economic Recovery Plans or Penjana Small and Medium Enterprise Financing Scheme.
Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the Penjana SME Financing Scheme, which has a 2 billion ringgit allocation, prioritizes SMEs that have never received any bank financing previously. He added for the 1 billion ringgit Penjana tourism sector financing for SMEs and micro SMEs still impacted by COVID-19, he said that as of January 29, there were 573 applications for this financing, and of this total, 277 applications have been approved with a total financing of 55.4 million ringgit. For Penjana's third objective of stimulating the economy, Tengku Zafrul said this week's report focuses on service tax exemptions for hotels up to June 30 in order to support the tourism sector. of which the value of tax exemption utilized by hotel and accommodation operators has reached 1.37 billion ringgit, an increase of 533.42 million ringgit compared to 836.56 million ringgit in the previous week. He said among the initiatives to support the tourism sector are individual tax reliefs of up to 1,000 ringgit on travel expenses, as well as full exemption on tourism tax for foreign tourists.
Following the next news, as Sarawak Bumiputra Teachers Union or KGBS urged the Ministry of Education to reconsider the implementation of the home-based teaching and learning 2.0. Its president Ahmad Mali said this is to ensure that students and teachers do not fall victim to the system. According to Ahmad Mali, the time allocation for PDPR 2.0 also exceeded students' maximum allocated screen time, which could cause them to feel stressed if they are in a session for long periods of time.
Dua, dipahamkan bahawa masa pelaksanaannya ialah di antara pukul 7.30 pagi hingga pukul 1 petang. Jadi mengambil masa yang agak panjang. Sedangkan PDPR 1 yang sedia ada sekarang ini, masa untuk pelaksanaannya di antara 1 hingga 2 jam saja. 1 hingga 2 jam saja. So kalau ia terlalu panjang, ia akan memberi kesan kepada murid-murid khususnya. Sebab murid-murid mungkin murid-murid akan rasa stres, tekanan akibat mereka berada terlalu panjang untuk mengikuti PDPR ini.
He said this when commenting on the Ministry of Education's new instructions whereby PDPR 2.0 will be implemented after the first PDPR was introduced in October 2020. He also stressed the lack of internet access and infrastructure in several areas poses difficulties for students in attending the session.
Tidak mempunyai prasarana yang sepatutnya seperti capaian internet. Ada kalangan murid-murid yang tidak mempunyai gadget, terutama sekali sekolah-sekolah yang berada di luar bandar, di pedalaman, sebab ia memerlukan perhubungan ataupun menghadapi masalah perhubungan yang lebih selesa. Jadi sudah pasti akan memberi kesan juga kepada PDR.
The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, or KPDN HEP, would not hesitate to take stern action against owners of premises who fail to comply with the standard operating procedures set by the National Security Council. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalinggi, said this was following the announcement of the opening of 17 activities under the distribution and trade sector starting February 10th.
He added, stern action will be taken under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988, Act 342, against owners of premises who fail to comply with the SOP. While expressing appreciation to the government and MKN for the permission granted for the reopening of more retail shops, the minister said the move was much awaited by the relevant industries and consumers. He is confident that all industry players and consumers will comply with the SOP as a sign of support to the government in combating the COVID-19 pandemic and at the same time working together to revive the country's economy. Therefore, he hopes that the permission to reopen the business activities, especially allowing dine-ins, will not be abused.
Now, the public is urged to stop spreading fake news concerning the victim who disappeared on the 3rd of February in Kampong Bijure, Bau. Bau District Police Chief DSP Pogi Nyaun said it could affect the investigation and reputation of the security team.
Ingin menasihat netizen yang di luar sana tu, kalau tidak menerima berita yang tak sahih tu jangan di-viral lah. Sebab ini menjejaskan kami punya siasatan, menjejaskan kami punya orang kata moral kita akan jatuh kepada pasukan keselamatan, lebih pasukan yang mencari dan menyelamat ni. Jadi minta netizen jangan suka-suka je lah. Dan saya rasa kalau terlampau orang kata berat, kami daripada pada PDRM kami tak ni lah. Terpaksa juga kami akan ambil tindakan lah ke atas netizen yang viral benda yang tak sahih.
He said this when commenting on the fake news which went viral on social media recently. Meanwhile, he said the search and rescue operation and investigation are still ongoing.
Kita haraplah dengan maklumat-maklumat yang diperolehi pada petang semalam yang mana kita ada kesan yang oleh tim SR kita. Jadi dalam kawasan tersebut kemungkinan kita akan mula buat search and rescue lah. Yang mana telah dibincang dengan pihak bomba dengan Tuan Tawang yang mana pattern akan dibuat secara paralel dan circle lah di kawasan tersebut dan kita akan merangkumi sekitar 2 kilometer lah keliling.
Thank you for staying with me. Now we begin with the next news as the Sarawak government has approved an allocation of 60 million ringgit for the construction of a new Padawan Municipal Council office.
MPP Chairman Loh Kier Chiang said the new office will be based on the green building concept located near the Semanggoh Wildlife Centre. When met by the media after paying a courtesy call to Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Abang Johari Tun Openg on Wednesday, he said many facilities will be provided, among them a library, auditorium, sports facility, and many others. Also present during the courtesy call were Sarawak Ministry of Housing and Local Government Dato Sri Dr. Sip Kui Hian, Deputy Sarawak State Secretary Dato Sri Muhammad Abu Bakar Marzuki, and MPP Deputy Chairman Dato Ahmad Ibrahim.
Now, Petronas ushered the coming of the Chinese New Year by launching its fully animated Chinese New Year web film entitled Yi Qi. What's interesting is that the web film explores the themes of unity, courage, hope, and perseverance through the life of a mythical town and its unique inhabitants, who are central characters in an iconic Chinese folklore.
Petronas Group Strategic Communications Senior General Manager Datin Anita Azrina Abdulaziz said the story unfolds in a mythical land where its occupants, the dancing lions, live harmoniously and move as well as dance to the beats of the drums in a bustling town. However, an unforeseen incident occurs, bringing everything to halt. Initially frightened, the dancing lions eventually find the courage to create their own sound of life together, thus inspiring a new beat of hope. According to Anita Azrina, Ichi is loosely translated as rise together, symbolizing the courage, hope and resilience that Malaysians need to preserve together as a nation, particularly in battling the COVID-19 pandemic and economic uncertainty. Therefore, she hoped that the web film will remind all Malaysians to continue harnessing their courage in finding new beginnings and awakenings amidst these difficult times. Ichi is available for viewing on Petronas' official YouTube channel and Facebook page from February 8.
Wrapping up the Nightline tonight, as the palm oil industry plays an important role in addressing the current pandemic situation facing the country. Soap and detergent, which are among the most important disinfectants for COVID-19 prevention, are made from palm oil.
The status of the palm oil industry is one of the 4 biggest contributors to the Malaysian economy. The Malaysian palm oil industry has generated about 72.8 billion ringgit through the export of palm oil and its products to the international market in 2020. Minister of Plantation Industries and Commodities, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin Aman Razali said this amount was much higher, about 14.18% higher compared with 63.73 billion ringgit recorded in 2019, and the highest since 2017 with 77.9 billion ringgit. He added that today, about 450,000 oil palm smallholders and their families depend on the commodity for their livelihood.
And that concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. As always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shamina, and I'll see you next time and have a good night.